Are you hopeful, as much as of history as you have read and studied and written about, are you hopeful for the place we are now? There are an awful lot of people who look at the state of our politics and the state of our society. We're sitting, of course, in the shadow of this horrible series of events in Arizona. And people are just without hope. How are we going to square people who don't want to even talk to people they don't agree with?
Well,
help us understand
that. Late historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr. used to say that the point of history is to remind us that our times are not uniquely oppressive. And sometimes we feel like we're so oppressed right now, but we've gone through a lot. We've had civil war in this country. We've had the death tolls and just even Vietnam so much higher than in Afghanistan. We've had Great Depressions, not just recessions. So we've got to buck up and recognize this country's still great, but we have these changes. I know I'm nervous about the way we do journalism and the decline in journalism in the country, and I'm worried about the internet being used as a wrong tool. But those are just worries that I personally have. I'm a bit old-fashioned, and I still believe civility needs to be. We need to have a civility, a program like this where you talk, and that constant national food fight that goes on. It gets to, I think, wear us all down.
And in fact, the president's message at the beginning of his term, and perhaps the president's message now as he wades into the Arizona matter, not from a perspective of politics, but from a perspective of leadership of this large community, his message is perhaps going to be civility. That what we stopped as a nation being civil to one another, and that maybe is a time for us to put our differences
That's exactly right. It's civilities, but in the need for just caring, that we've got to take care of people in our community. We've got to stop this bitter, angry debate over, a tax cut or over health care. You have those fights, but we need to have, I think, a little more bipartisanship. But it'll come back. It's just it's gotten ugly out there for a lot of different reasons. My other concern is young people don't want to go into politics. Who wants to have every library book they've checked out, every movie they've watched, everything they've ever done scrutinized to such a degree? People instead say, you know what, I'm just going to make a lot of money. I'm going to try to judge my success on capital, not on public service. And I don't know, we've got to figure out a way to re-engage people, because we're playing way too much I got you politics on people's personal lives.
And you're not getting a new generation of people to come in behind the current generation. You're going to find ourselves with no new people to
we might have a shortage of talent coming, and we might be seeing that in this country right now. We're not developing the political leadership that we need. There used to be you would serve a higher calling. Part of it was when we had military service and people had a couple of years with the draft to feel it. We don't have anything like that now. People basically the whole game is to take care of myself. And, Facebook has just become a metaphor for a generation of very self-obsession.
Solipsism, narcissism. Yes. I'm going to quit Facebook tonight after you say that. We just have a couple minutes left. Last time you were here, the TR book had just come out, and you also had a 12,000-word cover story about Bob Dylan in Rolling Stone. You've always had this sort of 1 foot in PBS and 1 foot in MTV ability to sort of, Are you doing anything other than these conservation books right now, kind of in the cultural world, in the contemporary world?
Well, I'm also writing a biography of Walter Cronkite, and his papers.
Of course, University of Texas.
And I've been working with my friend Don Carlton, who was friends with Mr. Cronkite, and his papers are here, and his daughter lives in Austin.
Indeed.
And so it's a wonderful collection, and Cronkite saved a lot, and the Briscoe Center at UT does a marvelous job.
How far along are you on this book?
I have a whole first draft of the manuscript.
Oh, good.
But I have to do probably about 75, 80 more interviews of people, but I'm doing them. I work with CBS News as a historian, and so I've been able to get a lot of access to a lot of those people. I'm going up on book tour for The Quiet World. When I'm speaking in Seattle, I'm going to go to the boyhood home of Edward R. Murrow, who's a big character in my Cronkite book. And so it's nice because all the research is right a couple miles from my house, because it's all here at UT.
What would Cronkite make of the world today, of the news world, of Fox and MSNBC, and of the internet, and of Cronkite would just, we talk about Cronkite taking off his glasses with tears in his eyes. That's when he would actually...
Glasses with tears in his eyes. He was already doing that before he died, because he recognized what was happening was the loss of gumshoe reporting, the lack of investigative reporting, everybody trying to become the next famous journalist without really having any background in history or any, doing the work. And he was a deeply honest man, Walter Cronkite, and kept it was so allergic to having anything air that wasn't 100% accurate that he would have been, today with the cable world, it's just all misinformation flying by the minute, to the point where when Congresswoman Giffords was shot, she was reported dead everywhere.
By about 4 or 5 different organizations.
Top organization that Cronkite never would have gone to give that news of a false story. He would have 100, and not just one source, but 2 sources. He would have said, give me 5 sources. We don't need to be first if it means getting it wrong. And I'm afraid we've lost that in the media world.
Well, let's hope we get back.
We will.
All right. Doug, great to see you. Congratulations. Hope the book sells a whole bunch. And
thank you.
5 more volumes to come, which means 5 more chances to come back. Good to see you. Douglas Brinkley.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you very much. Good.
Funding for Overheard with Evan Smith is provided in part by Hilco Partners, Texas Government Affairs Consultancy, and its global healthcare consulting business unit, Hilco Health, and by the Matson McHale Foundation in support of public television, and also by MFI Foundation, improving the quality of life within our community, and also by the Alice Kleberg Reynolds Foundation. And viewers like you, thank you.